So, good morning, everybody. Happy New Year. Kai Jacobs of the South Florida Business Law Group. Today is January 7th, and this portion of our meeting is being recorded. 2021 is going to be very different than 2020. Right now, we have a vaccine for the virus that wreaked a lot of havoc on the greater part of our country in 2020. And all of the information that's been made available to me so far points to a slow series of changes that'll take place over the year. I'm not going to tell you we're going to go back to something called normal, because I don't think there's such a thing as return to normal, at least not what it looked like 1 year ago in January of 2020, but rather I think we're looking at an evolving, changing sense of normal. There are some interesting articles out there by some of the virologists and immunologists and scientists and researchers and drug companies who sort of laid out a timetable of what's going to happen in a progression month by month over the course of the year. I don't think anybody's going to be going to a Coldplay or Rolling Stones concert by the end of the year, but they do expect that we'll probably be able to travel by air relatively normally before 2021 is over. So there is a light out there at the end of the tunnel, and for once it may not be the train coming at us. But again, things evolve and change. The virus is mutated. The vaccine is rolling out, not as fast as we would like. And every state's going to change their level of operation, their level of openness, their level of lockdown. And a lot of that's going to be dependent, of course, what happens when a new administration takes effect in January, on January 20th. Will there be now a federal intervention that will also step in and take action? And the answer is, we don't know. So it's a very long-winded way of saying what we're looking at is an evolving state of what is normal. And that's probably what's normal, is that from now on, for the foreseeable future, it's going to change. So businesses and the people who work in them, your watchword for 2021 is flexibility. Last year it was resilience. This year it's flexibility. Yesterday was a perfect example of why we need to be flexible. As much as, media outlets and the news and all the prognosticators and the pundits say, oh yes, everybody saw this coming. I don't think anybody on this call woke up yesterday and expected to see what they saw on television yesterday in one form or another. But anyway, with that, and it sort of forced me to revise what I was going to talk about a little bit today, but we're going to talk about three things that every business needs right now to come out of 2021, not just alive, but better than when they came into this year. One, and I've mentioned this before, you need a force majeure clause in your documentation. Force majeure is also known as an act of God clause. You've heard me talk about this before. Every relationship that your business has needs this. The label doesn't help anybody understand what it is, but it's a written provision that excuses you from performing whatever obligations you have under your estimate, your contracts, your agreements, and your other obligations because of things that are extraordinary. Hurricanes, floods, rock slides, riots, believe it or not, are a typical thing found in force majeure clauses. And I would have said riots, come on. Well, yesterday was a perfect example. And as much as we think of Capitol Hill as a place of government, it is also a place of business. I went to law school 4 blocks away from the Capitol, 4 blocks away from the Capitol. There are a large number of small businesses around Capitol Hill who I assure you are closed today. You got a cake delivery business in that area, you got a problem today. And if you don't have a force majeure clause, you're going to have a problem. These are things, and everybody says, oh, well, my business isn't big enough to need this, or this is for, it's not, it's for everyone. And we live in South Florida. It is not inconceivable that we have a hurricane or some other catastrophic natural event that could force us to call upon something in an agreement that would give us the ability to hold off on our obligations for at least some period of time. The lack of force majeure clauses that over 2020 that did not include pandemic language was really the undoing of more than a few of clients and prospective clients last year. So I would encourage everyone to consider that this is something you absolutely need for your business, and you don't need to look any further back in time than yesterday to convince yourself that what I'm telling you is correct. 2, you need dispute resolution built into your business. I love being a litigator, but one of the things I would never, ever want to be is a litigant. It's not the money. The money is bad enough. You know, parting with money to fight about something is hard. It's the other thing. It's when I have sales conversations with prospective clients, one of the things I'm sure we touch upon is, what else is this costing you besides money? The aggravation, the stress, the having to relive the scenario and live with this problem every day going forward. And if you are one of my clients, you have heard me say this. If you've been one of my prospective clients, you may have heard me say this, but I say this to all of them. We can litigate and you can be right. But when you go into that courthouse, you're not walking into church, you're walking into a casino. Judges and juries are humans. They don't always see things the way you see them, irrespective of what you understand the law to be and you understand the facts to be. And I can tell you, I've done this for 27 years, and there are still days that I am surprised. It's just one of the ways things operate. So in founding this firm, one of the things I've really committed to doing is figuring out ways to buy clients certainty whenever and wherever possible. And I think this is one of the greatest solutions that there are. Build dispute resolution mechanisms into your business right now. What am I talking about? Some of you have probably heard me talk about this before. Pre-suit mediation requirements. Again, your estimates, your invoices, your contracts. If you have a pre-suit mediation obligation that says nobody can go to court unless and until we all sit down with a neutral person and figure this out, and only if that doesn't work can somebody go and file a lawsuit. You, maybe you won't be, but maybe you will be surprised to find out how effective that is in avoiding litigation. And sometimes you don't even have to go as far as mediation. Sometimes taking away the ability of one party to simply threaten filing a lawsuit almost forces people to talk and negotiate, because now what they don't want to do is spend money on a mediation before they have to go to court. And we here at the office have had a lot of success with those kinds of provisions in helping clients to avoid even having to go file or defend lawsuits in the first place, because that was something we built into their relationships. And it doesn't just have to be mediation. There can be anything you can come up with. There are, I don't know if any of you have seen or noticed this, but in some of the online services out there, Amazon doesn't have it yet, or it may in some places, but sometimes if you buy things online, you don't have the right to sue anybody. You have to go through their internal dispute resolution mechanism, and you're stuck with whatever it is they decide is the outcome of that dispute. There are also things out there known as private judges you can have. You can go to arbitration, you can do any one of a host of a number of things. And of course, what's right for business A may not be right for business B, but I would tell you that There are a variety of things you can do to really help bring down the risks, the uncertainty, and the costs of the threat or actual lawsuits and litigation. Number three, you need a business plan. I'll say it again. It's 2021. You need a business plan. You don't need a 40-page document like you're going to go get a $4 million loan from Citibank. I mean, if you are, great. But what you need is a paragraph about the 7 working parts of your business that says, this is what we're going to do in 2021 to come out the other side of this better than coming in. I just closed 2020. I have a business plan. I work with a company I pay money to make sure I can operate my law firm like a business, because lawyers can practice law. They're not necessarily good business owners, but I am committed to being a good business owner. I'm forced, I am required, and I love having a business plan. And as a result, now mind you, when I wrote my business plan at the end of 2019, I didn't say, oh, and when COVID hits in March, we're going to change and do these things. But because I had a business plan and I could go back and look at my business plan and I could make adjustments based upon what I had already laid the groundwork to do, we came out of 2020 better than when we went into it. We just closed the books. Our business grew by 34% last year. Let me say it again. My business grew by 34% last year. I didn't get to drive to the courthouse. I didn't get to show up to court. I didn't get to meet clients face to face. I didn't get to go do a lot of the in-person marketing that I would otherwise be able to do in what used to be a normal year. And we grew 34%. Not because I'm brilliant, not because I know something magical than other people do, and certainly not because I'm lucky, but I had a plan. We wrote it down. It was 3.5 pages long. But having it and knowing it and looking at it and being able to pivot when it was necessary gave me the immediate ability to do things, for instance, like say, I got to change my marketing. This isn't going to work. I got to find something else. You know who I'm going to call? I'm going to call Bailey. That's what I need to do. I need to go online. I know who to call. And it allowed me to change my sales and all the other things I needed to do in my business. I said, you need it for all 7 parts of your business. So you're probably saying, what are the 7 parts of my business? They are your marketing, your sales, your production, your people, your physical plant, your financial metrics. And here comes, the one people always chuckle at, you. You won't believe what sort of clarity having a plan in place will do for you and your business. And in all of the uncertainty we have going on right now in the world, you cannot afford to wake up every day and just say, I'm going to go with whatever the tide washes in today. You're going to find yourself sort of wandering aimlessly through the year and wondering where the last 365 days went come December 31. So by the way, it's a very different presentation than the one I initially contemplated giving you, but here we are. But I'm a firm believer that these 3 things are key tools to making your business considerably more successful, not just survivable, successful, should you implement them and implement them quickly. Okay, so thank you. I'm going to stop the recording and I'll be glad to take anybody's questions or comments.